Hello, friends. My name is Iris Josephina. I'm your host, and you are listening to the Planting Seeds podcast. On the Planting Seeds podcast, we explore how we can cultivate a more gentle relationship with our cyclical bodies, the earth, each other, and the world around us through using our senses, science, the subtle, and the sacred. On Planting Seeds, we talk about all those topics you've always wanted to talk about. We are shamelessly opening up the conversations that we all so desperately need to settle in our precious bodies and relate to each other in a more open, truthful, and empowered way. I'm so glad you're here today. Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Planting Seeds podcast. Today I have two guests, Erin and Floor from Nourished. And Nourished is the home of clean beauty and natural living for everybody in Europe. As I said, it's founded by Erin and Floor, who are an Aussie and a Dutchie, and they are super passionate about life, all things healthy and sustainable for the planet and humanity. They are both health professionals. Erin is a chiropractor and Floor is a nutritionist. And during these careers, they've developed a depth and wealth of knowledge and experience they love to share with their Nourished community. Nourished is all about nourishment, giving yourself all of the ingredients of a happy and healthy life. And nourishing yourself with green and clean beauty and natural living products can have a tremendous effect on your health and well-being, mainly by reducing the exposure to nasty chemicals and toxins. And that's what we will be talking about all throughout this podcast today. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you, Iris.
Thank
you for having us.
Thank you for having us. We're really excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you and talk about all of the amazing topics that we have planned for today. And first up, I'm just very curious how you ladies decided to start Nourished and what is your mission with your company?
Well, that's a nice story that we have been telling a lot. Erin and I, we know each other from Amsterdam. We used to work together in a chiropractic practice. And after a few years...
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago
yes.
we met.
And after a few years, we both actually decided to stop working for that company. And Erin moved back to Australia at the time. And I stayed in Amsterdam for a little while. And after a few years, I decided to move. And before I was moving, I went on a trip to Australia. And I visited Sydney, where Erin is living. And I lived in her apartment for a week. And of course, I was also using her products in her bathroom. And she had a lot of beautiful products standing there. And they were all natural. So I was trying out her deodorant and a shampoo. And I fell in love with it. And then I asked her, where are you getting all these products from? And then she pulled up a website, we looked at it, and I placed actually an order to take home. And then we started joking about that it would be such a great idea for the Dutch market to have a platform, a web shop like that. So after a few months, we decided to give it a try. We had no idea what we were starting.
No idea.
Literally no idea. We just pulled up a template. We found some software, and we just started sort of building a website. We had some help here and there. Yeah. And then a few months later, Nourished was born.
Yeah. We reached out to lots of brands, and at the time we had the dream of bringing Australian brands to the European market. The Australian clean beauty industry is one that's the oldest clean beauty industry in the world. In fact, clean beauty was a concept that was born in Australia that stemmed mainly from the damage to the Great Barrier Reef and also to the ozone layer from personal care products and chemicals in those personal care products, sunscreens, hairsprays, deodorants, aerosols, things like that. And so clean beauty is something that's quite important to Australians. It's been around since the 80s, and so they have very sophisticated formulations, understanding around the topics. But also it's become something that's become quite sophisticated in its aesthetics as well. So not only do you get natural products, but you get highly effective natural products that also look and smell amazing. They complement your bathroom. It's a beautiful daily ritual to give to yourself. And so we had this dream of bringing this to Europe because we hadn't seen anything like that before in Europe. So we started contacting Australian and New Zealand brands and convincing them to allow us to represent them here. And we've built that into a stable of over 40 brands, over 1,000 products to help people live cleaner and greener lives. We now develop our own brands as well so that we can offer people incredible products to help enhance their life whilst also living in harmony with the planet around them.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What a beautiful story. And I've never been to Australia myself, but I have friends there and I have heard about all the incredible products they have there. So I'm extremely grateful that you both decided to create a platform that offers healthy skincare and makeup as well. I love your products and the brands that you are representing. And just for the people to understand, you already touched upon it a little bit, Erin. Why should we care about what we choose to put on our bodies when it comes to specifically skincare and makeup?
I mean, there's a few different whys that we can give ourselves as to making that switch or making the decision to make that switch into cleaner beauty and personal care products. The first one I touched on a little bit is the environment. So people often don't think about the things we use on ourselves as having an impact on the environment. But at the end of the day, anything you place on yourself ends up getting washed down the drain into the waterways, it ends up in the soils. So all those chemicals impact the entire marine ecology as well as our soil ecology. On top of that, a lot of the chemicals also get evaporated into the air and impact our air quality. It was actually aerosols that were used for hairspray and deodorant back in the 80s that created the huge disruption in the ozone layer, which has impacted the global environment tremendously.
And I think to add on to that is also that the industry who produces those products in mass is also, of course, leaving a lot of dirt and waste. So it's not only the consumer, it's also the businesses who produce.
In the production, yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, there's the consideration on what the products are doing to our own health and well-being. And I think people don't often understand that the skin is actually an organ. It makes up around 1/6 of our body weight. It is huge, between 1.5 and 2 meters long. Not only that, but it also is a living, breathing jacket that protects us, that creates it really protects the incredible ecosystem that is our internal body. So our skin works as a barrier to protect us from pathogens and germs in the environment around us. It protects us from UV and sun. It helps to improve our own body's hydration by trapping water in. It is a vehicle for many, many different hormones and also for the detoxification process as well. And so our skin plays a tremendous role, even in our immune system with the bacteria that lives on our skin. So our skin health is not just about beauty or aesthetics. It's actually about keeping our environment, our incredible ecosystem that is our body, in check and as healthy as it can be.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people also don't realize that this skin can absorb product. So what you place on it, what you rub onto it, can be absorbed into the body. And I think that's also an important aspect of that.
That's clear. Into the body and the bloodstream. So not even the direct area that you're necessarily placing that product, but it can actually be circulated throughout your entire system.
Yeah. And even within the research, they also see that there's lots of ingredients that are found back in bodies from men and women, or even in their feet.
Yeah, they pass through, and there's been research that's shown that a lot of the chemicals found in personal care products, skincare, makeup, are also found in the blood of the umbilical cord. So it's actually passing directly from us into our unborn child often as well. So it's something that's really, really, really important that we often think is just a little thing. Oh, it's not that big a deal, but it's actually one of the biggest deals when it comes to our health and well-being.
Yeah, and then I think another reason is also for animals, animal testing, but also the use of certain animal products that can be used in lifestyle and makeup products. So I think that's also one of the pillars that Nourished is about.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And some of the things I wasn't truly aware of, like the passing on of certain chemicals through the umbilical cord. Like I have, of course, read about endocrine disrupting chemicals that are often in these types of products and what it can do to fertility, not only from us, but also from animals, as you already mentioned, like that it has a huge impact on the environment. And I'm also curious, when people hear this, they probably think like, oh my God, what am I, what am I doing? How am I supposed to start? Because this is not only, of course, with skincare and makeup, but also household and cleaning products and things like sunscreen. You already mentioned that, Erin. How would you ladies recommend people to start on this journey? Because I can imagine that if people are just starting off and they have never thought about this, that it's quite overwhelming to embark on this journey of using health-friendly products, because there are so many. And what is something that people should be thinking about or paying attention to when they're starting this journey?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a thing we also really noticed when running Nourish. Like, there's also always steps in becoming healthier, and often people start with food, and then when their food is better, they realize that there's more steps in becoming healthier, and then their lifestyle products are researched, and they find out that there's lots of chemicals in body care. And Erin and I have been speaking about this, and we would like the natural beauty industry to be available for more people. And we were looking for a brand that could actually offer that and was affordable enough for everybody to step in. So also for low income, but also students and families, and that products that everyone can use, so multifunctional. So what we actually decided after we couldn't find it was to start developing that ourselves. So we're in the making of a brand called Nourished Daily. That's our own personal body and skincare brand. And it's a brand for everybody every day. And it starts at a lower price point. So it's a good product range to start with when you would like to make the switch.
Yeah, it's making the switch in anything, making change in any way in our life is always difficult. And at Nourished, we've always had the ethos where we choose to be non-judgmental around that. Any change that you make in your life is taking one step towards something more positive. And so we always tell people, just take the first step. And we find that products that you use every single day, they're the most important ones to make the change. So things like your deodorant, things like your body wash, things like your body lotion, your scrub, your moisturizer, your cleanser, things that you're repeatedly using every day, they're the ones to invest in first because you're going to have the most contact with them. We also understand that most of us use brands and products that we got introduced to probably when we were teenagers and we started using personal care products, and they become our favorite products pretty much throughout the rest of our life. So it can seem quite daunting initially. So if you're someone who's scared, you're worried about how a natural product's going to perform, even though these products are extremely high performance, they still function in a different way to something that's absolutely packed with chemicals. And so we recommend slowly changing. If you're scared about this, we recommend weaning. So maybe you'll use your conventional product one day, and then the next day you'll use your natural product. And then over time, you'll slowly increase the number of days that you've used your natural product. And then you're completely used to the way it performs, the way it smells, the way it feels on your skin. And we have this saying, once you go natural, you never go back, because it's almost 100% of the time the way. So whilst it seems a little daunting in the beginning, just taking those slow, easy steps and focusing on the products you use the most in your life is the most sustainable way to make that change.
Yeah, and I think a good example of what Erin is explaining is that when you switch to a natural deodorant, this can be a little bit scary because, of course, deodorant is such an essential for a lot of people because you don't want to smell, you don't want to stink. And a lot of the conventional deodorants, they don't make you sweat. They block your pores.
With aluminium.
And if you're then switching to a natural deodorant, like the one from Nourished Daily, for example, you notice that you will sweat, but you don't stink. And people need to get used to that. Sweating is important because, well, it's for the temperature of your body, but it's also a way of detoxing. So we don't want to block those glands, and you use a deodorant with aluminium for that. So slowly people will get used to that.
Yeah, and your body starts to regulate itself better, because when we're blocking it with external substances, it can't find its own rhythm. So initially when you make the change, sometimes you might sweat a little more, but after a while it finds its own balance and you notice you really don't sweat that much at all. Not only that, but you notice that you actually don't smell like you used to smell when you were blocking everything with chemicals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the upside of that is that you're not introducing aluminium compounds into the tissues of your body, especially close to your breasts and other important glands.
This is so important to talk about. Like, I feel people don't really think about these things, and we really have to be told, like, hey, this is something that we actually should be thinking about if we want to protect our health. So thank you so much for elaborating on this. And deodorant can seem something so innocent, but if you use it consistently every single day and it's not natural, it actually wreaks havoc on your health. I have clients who I work on their hormones, and I often have to tell them, like, you know, your healthcare products are probably not the best for your hormones. And as soon as they stop, it has an impact on how their body manifests other things.
Huge change. Absolutely. Another really good example that I experienced myself for a long time, and I understand how hard it is for people because I have 2 science degrees. I worked in private healthcare practice for 15 years, and it's still, I learn things every day that completely bowl me over. So for the average consumer, we completely understand that it's really overwhelming. An example, I've been working as a chiropractor for a long time. I was in my mid to late 30s and I was still experiencing adult acne. And I was cleansing and toning and moisturizing using just an acne type of set from the pharmacy in Australia, thinking I was doing the right thing, not understanding that I was completely damaging my skin barrier with the chemicals in these products. And so, of course, my skin was reacting to that by creating more oil. It was almost screaming at me. And so I thought I was doing the right thing, but my acne just wasn't going away. And as soon as I made the switch to natural, my skin just balanced out so nicely. Actually, my complete skin tone changed, and I really don't suffer with acne at all anymore. I was suffering up until my late 30s. It was quite a profound change, and it was a real moment for me understanding exactly what those chemicals were doing to my skin, but also to the health of my skin. You know, it's not just how it looked, but I think it must have been suffering so much to want to do that to me.
Yeah, and what Erin was saying, it can be a huge maze for the consumer to find what's the right product and what's in it. So a lot of people don't have the time, but also don't have the understanding of what's written on products. And a lot of claims are made these days. We call that greenwashing. A lot of products say, for example, that they're vegan, and then people think, oh, then it must be a good product, but it doesn't really work like that. So at Nourished, we say, we do the research for you so that the consumer can trust that we do the work for them. We do the research, we write about it, we post about it in our blog, we share it in our newsletter so people can stay up to date about ingredients, about what it does to the skin, what it does for certain skin problems, but also introduction for new brands. So we try to educate our consumer and be a trustworthy platform for them. And we're always also open for conversation. Absolutely. We get a lot of questions from customers about certain ingredients, and then we just help them.
That's so important. And I think what you just said is what makes people trust you as well. And it makes it so much more peaceful and easeful to buy products, because sometimes there are these websites that I go on and I'm like, is this really healthy? And of course I do my own research and then I go into the ingredients and I'm like, no, that's actually not true. So I'm so happy that you both spend so much time and energy and love into finding out what are the best products for people so that people can just sit and relax and choose whatever it is that they want to choose and use so that they can feel that this product is really good for them. So thank you so much for doing that, because I believe that you're pretty unique in providing people with so much information as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We like to think we're unique also, but I truly think it's almost impossible unless you have that science and health background to be able to decipher all the research and ingredients panel or label, claims that are made. Most people also don't know that a product can be called organic skin wash, but it's not organic. That's just the name of the product.
Yeah.
So they don't understand that, or something might be called green and clean, but it's actually not natural at all. It's just the name of it. And so we have to be really, really discerning as consumers, because every euro, every dollar that we spend is saying yes or no to the way we want the world to be. And so it's absolutely essential for people to be able to feel that where they're putting their money is in line with their values and creating the world that they want their children to grow up in. And so it's quite an honour for us to be able to kind of be leaders in that. And we were one of the first, I think, in the Benelux region, definitely, possibly broader Europe, where it was health professionals leading the platform and giving information about the products.
Yeah, it's so incredibly important. And, you know, I'm just baffled at what you just said, that a product can have this name where it is green and clean or organic or whatever fancy name it has, but that apparently there is this freedom that people can name a product without actually having a product or offering a product that is actually what it says it is. Like, I'm curious, like, I don't know whether you are super deep into this, but is there any like legislation about this or any rules or any, I have no idea about this.
So there are some rules around claims made, but not names. So if they were to say 100% organic ingredients, that would be different than calling it organic face wash.
Okay.
Because saying 100% organic ingredients is a claim that you're making, or non-toxic or non-harmful to health. They're all claims that are regulated. However, in a name, you can just call anything a name.
Wow, that's so disturbing.
Yes, and this is actually what we come across every day. People think that they're doing the right thing. They think they're using good products, but then on closer look, it's actually just a conventional product made with conventional ingredients that's just kind of decided that they need to change their marketing strategy as consumers are valuing sustainability and health higher and higher in the value chain. So, yeah, it is a real concern. And it's exactly why consumers need to take their role in consuming and spending money. They need to realize the importance of their role in the relationship as well.
Yeah, I can also imagine that for some people it's just so far from their lives. Like, I remember when I started to get into clean skincare and I started to read the labels, I got so discouraged because like 90% of the things that you read, you don't understand. And you have to like Google it and you have to look it up. And then you have to like find all this research about this one chemical and the different names that it can, like, it's like a day job to do that. So I'm just so happy that you do what you do.
Absolutely. And that's an interesting point that you just made. People like to look it up. And again, unfortunately, Google isn't gospel. And so often things that come up are the most sensational blogs with information about an ingredient that isn't actually necessarily relevant to the form that the ingredient is used in the skincare product that person is using.
Or about quantities that are used within the product, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. And so really it almost, like we talked about before, it almost requires a science background, so you can actually go to the scientific literature rather than just Google and actually have a look in the preparation that it's prepared in and the amounts that it's prepared in. Is this safe for human health? Is this safe for the environment? Or is this something that we want to steer away from? So that's why, yeah, it's really difficult for consumers. But don't worry, that's what Flora and I spend days and nights doing so that you all don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think it's really incredible what you do. And the little witch in me is just super curious about how you go about creating your own products. Like, I'm just super curious how that goes because I have no idea, and maybe people find it interesting to hear that too. Like, how do you start? How do you do that?
Well, we work with an incredible lab in the Netherlands, so that's really nice. We've met them now 3 years ago, I think.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, we actually looked on Google to find
looking at labs. But our lab is very special, and Floor will tell you why. We're grateful for Google also.
So I actually just searched on Natural Cosmetics Lab Netherlands, and then I ended up with a lab in Amsterdam, and I reached out to them, and I met the owner for coffee, and he actually just started. It was in Amsterdam North, and he had like one sort of little room and an extra room and
A lab.
Yeah, a lab. And there he started producing natural cosmetics for brands. So we had an introduction and we had a really good match. And then we said, okay, let's work together. So how does this go? So Erin and I have a vision of a product, we have an idea, and then we're going to write about that idea. They have a lot of questions for us. We fill out a form. We write everything what we want, but also what we don't want. And then we give this idea to them. And then they have an R&D team, research and development team, who goes into the lab and they are going to experiment with formulations and ingredients. And then after a few weeks, we receive some beautiful samples. And then we start testing, and our friends start testing, and our partners start testing. And then from there,
everyone we know.
Everyone we know. So they'll all get face cream on and tested. They all try a deodorant or whatever we're producing. And then after that, we evaluate the formulations and we try to see if there can be things better or if there are ingredients we want to add or maybe we want to take out. And then we also need to think about scent, for example, because we don't use any perfumes. So we need to mix, for example, oils to get a beautiful scent, or sometimes a product has naturally a beautiful scent and we go from there. And then we often have a second and a third and maybe a fourth round of testing. And from there we choose which formulation we're going to go for. But then there's a whole other dimension to that because we have to find packaging and design packaging.
Sustainable
packaging. So we work with a few companies in Europe to do that. So that's a whole other thing that comes with developing products.
That we never really thought about. But it's been an incredible journey to learn because going from being the retailer to actually being the producer has helped us have a whole other understanding of formulations, ingredients, the whole process. But one thing that, I don't know if Floor mentioned it or not, but one thing that we love about our lab is that they only work with 100% natural ingredients. So we were very confident going into partnership with them from the beginning because their values and their ethos were almost exactly the same as ours. They're very passionate about creating products that are the best in the world, that are efficient and effective, that people love using, but are also 100% natural and as sustainable as possible. So it's been quite the learning curve.
Yes.
But we're very, very proud to bring these products to the world.
Yeah, and what I mentioned in the beginning is that it started with a small lab which grew into a big lab and actually a well-known name these days. So that's also nice to see, and we've been growing together, and that's also nice for us to see that there's more demand for natural products.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Absolutely. They started, I think there were 5 of them working in the lab when we started with them, and now I think there's 40 plus. So that's, really cool.
It sounds like such an incredibly fun process too. Like I had no idea how this works, and I'm already like, oh, this sounds like so much fun to discover the perfect blend for a specific product.
That's the fun part for sure. There's lots of parts that aren't as fun. But that's the same with everything in life. And the parts that aren't so fun make the fun parts even better. So I think the funnest part for me is actually just working on something that brings value to the world, that helps the world be a better place, but also seeing people enjoy that. When people get enjoyment from something you've created, it really gives me a lot of joy, and that's a big why for me. But then also to be able to be on this journey with one of my favourite people in the whole world is also with Floor. It's been quite a blessing, and I think not many people get to have that very special relationship with their business partner, and it's also their friend, their best friend.
Yeah, we started, I think, from a different place. Well, we've met each other over 10 years ago in Amsterdam, and we started at the same day, and we didn't know each other, and there was no one else in that practice because it was a new day. It was second Christmas day, and we both had to work, and the owners were on holiday or something. So we just arrived, I think, 7:30 in the morning on second Christmas day, and we were like, okay, hoi, I'm Erin, hoi, I'm Floor. And then we just did our thing, and from there the relationship grew and grew, and we have been working from opposite side of the world for many, many months of the year. And yeah, that creates a special relationship. And we've lived together.
We've lived together. We've worked together. We share the same clothes, the shoes.
When we go on holiday, we sleep in the same bed. So.
Yeah, life is work and work is life.
We tan each other's bodies as well when we have parties, and it's a working relationship and a girly relationship. So.
It really truly sounds so precious, and the fact that you can sustain your friendship and build this beautiful business and bring so much value to the world, not many people can say that, and I think it's really something to cherish. And I hope that the people who are listening are inspired by this. If you have a bestie and you want to start a business, it's totally possible.
It is, yes.
But you have to agree in the beginning that the friendship is the most important part.
Yeah.
And we definitely had that conversation in the beginning. It doesn't matter what happens, friendship is number one. If it means that we have to walk away from our business to save a friendship, then that's what we do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that maybe sounds a little bit silly, but we didn't start Nourished for the money. So we started because it was a passion thing. And I think that also makes that you're different in the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
We want to create something beautiful. And we also discovered things that we don't like and that we do like. And we discovered that developing our own products, that's something we really love. And it's been a journey. Everything has been a journey because we had no idea what we're doing, but literally no idea. And we've learned along the way about social media, about technical stuff from Google and websites and SEO. And so it's not always easy, but it's good for us.
Thank you for sharing that, because as entrepreneurs and business owners, like all of us here, it's so refreshing to hear from people that, everything is a journey. You can't know anything or everything when you start out. And just hearing that you just trusted the process and kept going, kept trusting your ideas and your passions, that's really inspiring. And it also makes, for me, the brand and the business really human. And I love that. It makes me love you even more when you say this, because what people often forget is that there is people behind businesses, and we all have such unique stories, and I definitely love yours. So thank you for sharing that as well, because it's really valuable for people to hear, I think.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, we listen to stories about brand founders all the time. I'm really inspired by that. Brand founders and just thought leaders in the world. But a lot of people talk about, oh, I've done this and that and la, la, la. But often the thing that's left out is the hard parts along the way, which is probably 80% of it. And so it's we really want to paint the real picture. It's wonderful and rewarding and extremely challenging at the same point in time. But that's life. That's everything in life. Even if you go to work for a boss and you just turn up and you do 9 to 5, there's still extremely challenging moments in your day. And it's the same for everyone, no matter what they're embarking on. And when we can embrace those challenges in life and when we can sit with them, that's where growth comes from.
Yeah.
When we try and fight them and we don't want to step up to them, we don't want to face those challenges, that's when we stop growing. So I encourage everyone to kind of just lean in.
I love that. Thank you for bringing that in. And before we close off, is there any snippets of wisdom or knowledge or loving words that you both want to share with the people listening?
Well, I think one of the nourished messages, if I would say, like, if anyone is inspired by this podcast and thinks, yes, I want to make the switch, but I need some help, I think reach out to us.
Absolutely. Insta DM, web chat, email. Us and our team are on it 24/7.
Yeah, and we have a team that Erin and I educate, and we give them all the knowledge. They have training with our brands, so we can really advise people on skin health, skin problems, but even on choosing colors for makeup, because that can be difficult online. But with anything, reach out to us. And Iris, I don't know if it's a good idea, but we were thinking maybe it's interesting for your followers and your listeners to give them a little discount if they want to shop on Nourished.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if there's things that they want to try something out, they're a little bit frightened, then please take advantage. We'd love to offer you all a 10% discount. We'll create a code for IRIS10. You can enter it at the checkout and it will give you 10% off everything site-wide. We also have a really wonderful rewards program to help people choose clean and green, where every time they shop they can earn points that will discount their future orders. So we really encourage you to join up to that. It's free and it's only gives to you and the planet. So we're really so grateful for the opportunity to speak with you, Iris, and with your community. And if there's anything we can help anyone with, like Floor mentioned, please reach out.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I will add the code in the show notes so people can easily find it. And what are the places where people can find you and the handles they can find you on?
Instagram, you can find us at nourished_EU. And our website is nourished.nl.
Amazing.
Of course, we're on TikTok as well. We're super hip. But still trying that out. And it's also nourished_EU.
That's a new adventure for us.
Aren't we all on that adventure and figuring it out along the way?
Yeah, so Instagram, TikTok, and then, like we said, reach out anywhere through web chat, email, or DM. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, ladies, so much for taking the time to come on and come share your wisdom and knowledge about this incredibly important topic.
Thank you for having us.
You're so welcome. And everybody who is listening, go check them out. Go check their products out. I will put the code in the show notes, like I said, and start using skincare that is good for you and the planet. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, with your friends, with your family, post about it on social media, or leave a rating or a review on all the platforms. To catch all the latest news from me, you can follow at the Planting Seeds podcast on Instagram or at Cycle Seeds on Instagram. Or you can go to my website, www.cycleseeds.com. Thank you again so much, and I'll see you next time.